Hello, welcome to the last part of the Softube Modular review. In the previous section, which was the full review of the software modular system, which is a virtual Eurorack, there'll be a link to it here. I'll put it just here and you can click to it and you'll be able to watch the full review. I said that I would do another video just showing some of the sounds, so I'm going to flip through some of those patches. But in the meantime, since I actually published that first review, there's been an update to the Softube Modular environment. And what that's done is, as well as a few minor bug fixes, it's actually added a new module, and that new module is the ROLI Seaboard RISE module. I've got it instantiated here, not patched up so you can see what's going on. And that gives you interfacing with the ROLI Seaboard RISE keyboard, which I did also review recently. We'll put a link in the show notes so you can see that. And it gives you up to 4 trigger voices and multiple CV patch outputs. This is actually a free update, so you get that for nothing. If you've got a RISE, it'll be handy. I'll play some patches a little bit later and go into a bit more depth of that. But in the meantime, let's take a listen to some patches. So in this patch here, what I've got going on is there's 2 melodic lines. One is a top line, which is running on this sequencer here. The other one is a bass line, which is running on this sequencer here. This 5-step sequencer I'm just using to trigger changes in clocking, which is coming from the DAW sync, and also transpositions to this sequencer. So if I play this, I'm actually just hearing the top line because I'm bussing that out via the auxiliary outputs. You can see here, this is coming in this channel. So now if I bring the overall level of the plugin up, which brings the other sounds up. So that's now running at 8th clock, this is 16th clocks. That's a transposition. The hi-hats I'm actually triggering from 16th outputs, and I'm modulating the length of the hi-hat part so you can hear it sort of moving around a bit. And this is the bassline sequencer. But it's running in 5, so it's a slightly different. In this patch, it's quite simple, but it's using the delay to sort of split the signal. So we've got this kind of like AD double tracking type effect. So if I press a note, and then the mod wheel is mapped to opening the filter out a bit. This one is a 3 VCO bass sound, and it's got quite a lot of girth to it, I would say. In this patch, it's just splitting the filter and then taking the polarity of the LFO and working so that it's left and right stereo. Okay, this patch has a sort of, well, it's got a bit of a Vangelis vibe to it, so I've had to put a bit of reverb on it. It's just something I can't help but. This one demonstrates the kind of FM modulation and frequency modulation you can get. This one's your sort of classic lead sound with portamento and last note priority, so you can re-trigger the filter envelope. This one has 3 VCOs tuned apart to an interval, but also has quite a sort of angry bandpass type of sound. This one's one of the rare polyphonic patches, and it's using the quadraphonic MIDI to CV to trigger 4 VCOs. So here we go. The mod wheel changes the PWM frequency. This one has a sort of synced sine wave with a sequencer. It's quite an interesting patch, and I'll just play a note. This one is another cross-mod type effect using sequencers and the patch panel. Just play, and it's a sort of self-generating patch. It creates these sort of really metallic type tones. This one uses a kind of Kepler strong short delay times tuned via the keyboard, although it doesn't track quite over the keyboard. So you're just using these delay lines with damping to open and close the filter using this patch panel. It has a nice sound, although it's doesn't quite track over the keyboard. This one uses a few heartbeat modules, basic trigger sequencer, plus some extra voices down below in this rack here to give you the bass line. So I just press play and we're off. I can dial a little bit of swing via this patch panel, switch the snare off. Here's another one. This is just a few heartbeat voices plus a simple single VCO. Here's another one. This is again a sequencer and heartbeat voices. It's just quite heavy. There's no filter in this. It's just literally VCO running off of the sequencer 16. Triangle wave. Lots of doof on that bass drum. Here's another one which uses a bunch of MIDI triggers and creates individual drum voices in the same patch. So if I play keys here, got a kick drum, another kick drum, snare, clap, hi-hats. And that patch just looks like this. So if you can set the MIDI to trigger limits using different banks of them to get basically, in this case, 9 voices. Okay, so now I have the ROLI Seaboard Rise 49 here plugged in. I've reviewed it elsewhere, but what's actually happened since I did the review, there's been the announcement of a new module, and it's the ROLI module here, which basically gives you up to 4 notes of trigger with CV output for note, gate, strike, which is velocity, G pressure, glide, which is the left and right, slide, which is this axis up here, and also lift, which is the release velocity. That's not patched in this one, but if you see, it does enable you to actually create these quite complex patches. This is just a single voice, and I can actually utilize some of, and also in this you can see that we've got the XY pad mapped and these faders as well. So just on a simple level, it allows you to have the ROLI interact with another software instrument, apart from the one it comes with and apart from other things that are just MPE enabled. And this actually introduces some interesting ideas, because obviously with the way that this is set up, we could map some of these guys out into these auxiliary bus outputs, and then using the DAW's auxiliary channels, map those out into DC coupled audio interface outputs that could take us into hardware world. So it allows us to use the ROLI in that world as well. So that's quite interesting. I mean, there are other ways of doing it, I might add, but this just sort of brings it all together in Softube. And this is a free module to people who've already got Softube Modular. So let's try another couple of patches, see what we got here. This is more like space clarinet. I'm using pressure to change the pitch pulse width modulation depth. This patch is a bit more bonkers. I'm not quite sure what's going on here. In this patch, we're creating more sort of polyphonic sound. Slide is obviously affecting the filter. Some interesting sound. In this sound, using all four voices. It's obviously a very complicated patch. I'm using the XY. Very nice. Can't really decipher what's going on that patch because there's a lot of stuff going on, but it just shows that, you know, this new ROLI Seaboard is just yet another way to interface with Modular. And you know, while it's quite complicated because there are up to 30 outputs, I think, of this, it actually gives you at least the ability to utilize this. And like I say, it's a free update. Okay, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoy those extra sounds. Once again, the Softube Modular is available now. Latest update includes, like I say, the free inclusion of the ROLI Seaboard Rise module. If you want to watch the full review, check the links in the show notes. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you next time. Don't forget to subscribe.